Welcome to the course C# and .NET Programming. In this video, we are going to see the concept of operator overloading in C#. So, operator overloading is a special mechanism of OOPS principle which comes under the polymorphism. So, polymorphism means taking multiple forms. In operator overloading, we are going to provide special meaning to the operators. For example, let us consider the plus operator. So when we have two integers, so I am going to have an integer a and then integer b, then I am trying to add a and b. So this time the plus will be acting as a arithmetic operator to add two integer numbers. As in case, suppose I am going to use with console dot write line the sum is. So this way, when I use the plus operator, one operand is a string, another operand is the integer. This time the plus operator will be acting as a concatenation operation. So now consider, suppose I am having a class called as complex. So I am having a class called as complex. The complex number having two information, that is the imaginary part and the real part. So real and imaginary. Now I am going to create an object of complex number C1 is equal to new complex. I am going to pass the real part and the imaginary part. Same thing, I am going to create another complex number and I am going to give the value 5, 3 and I'm going to create a third complex number which is going to store the result. So 0, 0. Now I am trying to add C3 is equal to C1 plus C2. So through the operator overloading, I am going to give a special meaning to the plus operator to add two complex numbers instead of just having adding of two integer numbers and performing the concatenation. So the demo environment I am using is the Visual Studio 2019. So now move into the code. So I have created a complex class. So you can get the input from the user by getting the real part and the imaginary part of the two complex number. So here I have directly hard coded the value 10 and 20 and 5 and 3. As you know, the complex numbers will be represented as 10 plus 20i and this will be represented as 5 plus 3i. And now we have created the object. The object needs a constructor with two arguments. So inside the complex class, I am going to create a constructor. So I am going to keep the x and y. So which I am going to store with real number is x and the imaginary number is 1. So now both of my complex number get created. So still I didn't give a special meaning to my operator plus to add two complex numbers. And to do that, C# having the operator overloading concept. Here this is the syntax: public, static, return type. After adding two complex numbers, you need to return the output also a complex number. So public, that is the access specifier. Static, so here I am going to call this operator overloading function without creating the object of the class. So static, then complex, and then public, static, return type, then operator is a keyword, and then operator symbol. The symbol I want to overload is the plus operator. And what are the arguments needed to do the plus operation? That is the first complex number and the second complex number. So now we have to define the logic how to add the two complex number. So as you know here, when I do this, what will happen? It will call the plus operator with two inputs C1 and C2. So that's why the syntax will be public, static, return type, operator, operator symbol and the two arguments. So to store the result, I am going to create a temporary variable which having the values is 0 and 0. Now I try to use with imaginary part is equal to t1 dot imaginary plus t2 dot imaginary. Similarly, we need to add with t dot real is equal to t1 dot real plus t2 dot real. Once it is done, we need to return the final result. So now our complex number addition is ready. So now we want to display in the format of a plus ib. So I am going to add a function public void display. So this I am going to just display the value console dot write line. The first part is the real number. Then I need to add with the plus operator, and along with I need to use with the I symbol, and after that I need to use with imaginary part and I add with the I symbol. So you can check with, suppose you want to display in the format of -3 minus 6i. So you just use the if condition to check that whether you want to display the plus as a symbol or minus as a symbol. So you can customize your code. So now I am just going to display a plus ib. So I am specifying this. So I am just calling a function c1 dot display. So the first complex number get displayed, c2 dot display. The second complex number get displayed, c3 dot display. So the third complex, that is the result of adding two complex number using the operator overloading, that get displayed. So when you execute, you will get the answers of the first complex number, second complex number and the third complex number. So you can see here. So like this, you can overload the operators of subtraction, multiplication and also division. All the operators you can upload or overload. Okay. And now we can see how you can overload the relational operators. So relational operators means, with less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, not equal to and double equal to. For example, I want to compare the two objects. So I don't have any logic for the comparison, or I don't have a direct equal to operator, double equal to operator to check two complex number. I can check integer I is equal to integer t. That both are equal, I can check it. But now I am going to give a special meaning for my double equal to operator. So I need to overload this operator. So I need to write a function for it. Public static. So now after comparison, the result will be true or false. So it needs to return a Boolean value. And operator is a keyword. The operator symbol I need to use with double equal to. I need to pass two objects, complex 1 and complex 2. So now the comparison is if t1 dot real is equal to t2 dot real and t1 dot imaginary is equal to t2 dot imaginary. If it is there, I need to return true. Else, I need to return false. Return false. So now you can see here I am checking the condition. If both the real numbers part is equal and the imaginary number part is equal, I need to return either true or false. So public static return type operator, operator symbol. So whenever I use relational operator, there is an important thing to be noted. The relational operators will be overloaded in pairs. So if I use double equal to, it is mandatory or must to overload the not equal to. So you are getting the message. The operator double equal to requires a matching operator not equal to. So I just copy the same logic, and instead of double equal to, I am going to put not equal to. Here also I am going to put not equal to. So please remember, whenever you use the relational operator, it should be overloaded in pair. Double equal to means it should contain not equal to. Then less than means it should contain greater than, and then we have the less than or equal to means it should contain greater than or equal to. So every relational operators has to be, the comparison operators has to be overloaded in pad. And we have the double equal to and not equal to. So now if both are equal, I need to just print console dot write line, the two numbers are same, else console dot write line, the two numbers are not same. So when I save this or execute this program, basically it will throw two warning messages. It means that whenever I use these comparison operators, I have to override object.equals and get hash. But since it is only a warning message, so just ignore it. So now we just execute the code. So these two numbers are not same since the real number of both the numbers are not equal and the imaginary part of the both numbers are not equal. So operator overloading with arithmetic operators, operator overloading with the relational or comparison operators. And next we need to do some casting. So suppose I need to convert a complex number into a primitive data type. Complex number is actually we are having the object data type of complex C1. So that I want to convert as a normal integer number. So when I do this, I need a casting. So the casting I want to do is I am trying to convert a larger data type to smaller data type. So I am going to do with the explicit casting. So whenever you use explicit casting, you need to use with the explicit casting. So this also I can write the overloading function for casting and I can convert a complex number to an integer. So what I am going to do is I am just going to take the real part and the imaginary part of the complex number, add together, and that I am going to convert as a single integer and I am going to return it back. So for that also you have to write the overloading function, public static. So here we are not having any return type. So we need to specify what type of casting you need. I need an explicit casting. Then the operator symbol and followed by you need to specify who is your target and who is your source. So the target is integer. The source is the complex number. So now you just take the first complex numbers imaginary part and the complex numbers real part, add together, and that you need to store it in a variable. And then you just return t. So now we take the complex number, explicitly we converted a complex object into an integer. So now the casting is done. So we just print console dot write line the value of t I want to print it. So just execute the code. First complex number is 10 plus 20i. The imaginary and the real part get added and it is converted as a single integer. So now I want to do the vice versa, that is I want to convert an integer to a complex number. So I am going to create a complex number C4 is equal to new complex 0, 0. Then assign C4 is equal to T or T1. Okay. So I am just going to declare int T1 is equal to 6. So I am going to take an integer number and that integer number I am going to store it in a complex number, both imaginary and real part I can formulate from this integer number. So here the smallest number or smallest data type I am going to convert as a higher data type. So I am considering it is a implicit conversion. So I just go here, write a code for it. So public static, instead of explicit I will write now implicit. Operator, the same keyword, Then now my input is an integer which should be converted as a complex number. So now I need to write the logic. The logic I am going to write is, I am going to take one temporary complex number, complex. So I am going to pass my real part is an I and the imaginary part is some I plus 10. Then I am just trying to return that complex number. So now the integer is implicitly converted as a complex object. So I am storing an integer inside the complex number. Then I call sc4.display. So you can execute from the value 6. The imaginary and the real part get generated from the integer number. So I hope you got an understanding how to use the operator overloading in C#. That is the way how to use with the arithmetic operators. When used with comparison operator, kindly note the operator should be overloaded in pairs. And then we are using with the casting, that is called as user defined casting. So you can do the explicit casting and also you can do with the implicit casting. So this is casting. We are doing with the explicit means the larger data type to smaller data type. Implicit means the smaller data type to the larger data type. Also you have to remember the syntax of the operator overloading. It's very easy syntax to remember. That is public, static, return type, operator is a keyword, okay, operator symbol, and which two types of object you want to do the operator overloading function, that is an argument to the particular function. And if it is an relational operator, the return type is a Boolean value. Then you do the conversion, you need to use with, instead of return type, you need to use the keyword implicit and explicit. And here, this is the source type and this is the target type. So the complex number will be converted to integer. Here an integer will be converted as a complex. Thank you.